Welcome, everybody. My name is Sandra Rothbard. I'm an urban planner from Freight Matters, and I will be supporting this project for Polis and Environmental Defense Fund Europe as the project manager. Okay, so here we go. Next slide. So here's a quick rundown of the presentation I'll be sharing with you. So give a little bit of background to the SURF project and the focus on zero emission zones, going through every single component. And then of course, we will have time for Q&A. Next slide. So what is a zero emission zone? Many of you already know what this is and are already well on your way to actually developing them. In 2020, we had 35 cities actually sign on that they will implement a major zero emission zone by the year 2030. Several already aiming for 2025. So in order to get there, there's a lot of work to be done, and this project is a way to sort of get the process started. So the goal for a zero emission zone, obviously, make sure that the only vehicles that are entering a city center, a very specific area, are zero emissions. Obviously, that comes with great benefits for the environment and for quality of life. And it's not just about the vehicles, but this is also about real estate and consolidation hubs and the other elements of a city and city planning that are needed to really support the movement from diesel to electric. So next slide. So last year, C40, along with Transport Decarbonization Alliance and Polis, actually created a how-to guide for zero emission zones for freight. One of the things we realized is there's no reason why freight can't be the leading reason to really focus on zero emission zones. City logistics are critical, so it's very important that when thinking about zero emission zones, that freight is a key part of it. So in this document, it really highlighted the importance of freight. How do you ensure that zero emission zones think about the design and the implementation and taking logistics into consideration? And of course, had some wonderful case studies of many cities that are already working in this issue. Next slide. So SURF, the Sustainable Urban Freight Program, is building off of that how-to guide. This project will take place from now till December. And this is really working towards developing this plan and helping cities figure out how to design and implement zero emission zones specifically for freight and have this as part of their regulations going forward. Next slide. So there are three components to this program. The first is the instant projects. You heard Jill and Ivo and as well as Giacomo sort of reference this. I'll go into it in a little bit more detail, but this is really the meat of actually being able to get started and begin the process of actually developing regulations and studies and analyses to implementing infrastructure and other programs to actually support zero emission zones. The second is a capacity building e-course. We will be putting this online over the course of several months to help provide background information and as well as tools that cities can use to really help implement these programs. And then finally, network and communications. By participating, you become part of a community of practice. This includes learning best practices from other cities, being able to share knowledge, as well as getting the benefits of really joining the Polis network, as well as the Environmental Defense Fund networks, and being able to work with experts and other cities and other professionals. The second big part of this project is the capacity building program. And so this includes an e-course. So we are going to be developing this training and course online to really highlight the different areas of zero emission zones, in many ways sort of taking that how-to guide and putting it into an e-course format. So it will be broken down into 3 units. The first is putting zero emission zones for freight into context. What's the background of these? What's some work that has been done in the past? And understanding why it's important. The second will really focus on how do we implement a zero emission zone? How do we make sure that we have the steps that are needed to actually design and implement. So that's everything from regulations to understanding the stakeholders that are needed and more. And then, of course, what are the keys to success and how do we make sure that we're moving forward in a productive way? And then finally, this is the overall timeline. So today is the launch. The project applications due May 14th, ongoing applications for experts between now and October being due. Those instant projects are actually going to be taking place June through October. So after the applications come in, we will be making a decision in May so that we can really kick off those projects in June. And then ongoing, starting in May, we are going to have the e-course online. So there will be some live interactive elements, and then hope to have it online for the future reference. So just going past May. And then, of course, the Polis conference in December.